Hello.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm chilling. It's a bit of a
Chilling.
colder day here today. It's really funny. Yesterday was mad hot, and then today is mad cold.
Mad hot, mad cold as far as what?
Huh?
Oh, it's just the weather, you mean?
Yeah. Like the weather just it's just like funny weather.
Gotcha.
But
Then pretty much all rain over here.
I see. Yeah, it
Lots of
feels like it
flooding.
could rain today here. Where do you live again?
I'm in Northeast Ohio.
Northeast Ohio. Okay. Okay, cool. And so I guess we can just kind of hop right in. What do you want to go over today?
Well, I had a set with a fox that I played last weekend, and where I'm coming from, I'm kind of jumping back into the competitive scene a little more lately,
Mm-hmm.
uh, especially since the wobbling ban and the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Both those things combined kind of had me step away from the game and have more things in my life lined up now and a better job and more money to compete. And so I'm interested in getting back into things.
Hey, it's good to hear
And
that.
yeah, and I want to stick with ice climbers as well and push them as far as I can. I think they have a lot of potential that's still untapped.
Yeah, I
There's a lot
agree.
of there's a lot of tech that's not used that I think is really good that I'm trying to put into my game.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have some more basic things I'm trying to work on, like crouch canceling is not something that I very consciously did consistently, especially with ice climbers. They kind of slide everywhere. It's not something
Yeah.
I really got down and really understood when I should be crouching and what I can punish. And I think I've developed quite a bit of a shielding habit, and I'm getting shield poked a lot, I notice, and things like that. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
working on defensive, kind of basic defensive stuff. And offensively, I would like to learn how to shark better with their up air because they have a really good up air, but I also feel like it gets them in trouble a lot because it takes away a lot of their options once you commit to the up air. Even compared to like a short hop bear where you can fast fall it and auto cancel it, it's still a little less committal. Where I feel a lot of times I could be getting up airs, but I'm not confident and I'm afraid of overextending and then losing center and then being pushed out.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll keep that in mind. Do you have the VOD?
I do.
Okay. Send that over.
And as far as this set goes, um,
Yeah, but
I definitely think I could have won. I got enough grabs in neutral. I felt like I won neutral a lot, and a lot of it came down to kind of just rust, getting back into things, and not having the greatest punish. But what I kind of wanted to look at more was just general like positioning and kind of if there's any gaping holes you see, and if there's just more refinements I could make that could set me up for more like reaction points to, consistently hit them.
Mm-hmm.
I, I'm big on studying neutral game. I feel like punish is something I can always figure out when I go offline and, I'll look at a video and I'll see how a hit started and from there, I'm pretty good at figuring out what could be done and practicing that. It's more the neutral stuff and theoretical positioning stuff that I'm interested in with like coaching or lessons.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I will do my best. I am not an ice climber's neutral expert, but I'll do my best with what I can see, and we'll talk about it and hopefully find some good stuff to work on.
Okay, sounds good.
Is the stream working? Or
It's
like
stuck
is
on the.
the Discord stream for you?
I see go and it's paused.
Okay, yes, it's paused. Okay, just making sure you can see it.
Yep.
All right, I'm just gonna watch for a second and see what I see. Oh, Balloon Day, I played them.
Yeah, but he won this set 3-1.
Okay. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, I'm gonna watch for one more second. I'm having some ideas though.
Okay.
Like I think the main thing that jumps out to me so far is it feels like you're playing a little bit too like committal, or like not necessarily like I would say that for ice climbers you want to be proactive with your wave dash movement, less so than like your moves. Like I feel like every time, especially with double climbers, pretty much every time you make a decision to really do a move, I feel like it creates like a big commitment that Fox can pretty much always, not always, but like sort of like just the flow of like mix ups and like chaos and stuff in the game. If you just sort of throw out like a move of like, well, maybe this back air will hit or whatever, I feel like the risk reward is typically like in Fox's favor. um I think usually the best way to play the neutral in this matchup as ice climbers is you get that whole like shield. Like, do you use like the light shield thing?
I do at times when I'm feeling kind of pressured.
Okay, yeah, I
I don't
think.
have it.
Hmm?
I don't have the greatest game plan around Fox shield pressuring me and being all over me. I kind of
Mm-hmm.
I tend to get run over by foxes that are just very perfect with their tech and all over my face and kind of forcing things out of my shield.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so okay, so basically like if your position is sort of known or like understandable by the fox, but like, oh, they're playing from this position, then the pressure is it's basically like impossible to avoid if they're really like on point. The goal is to move around a lot with the basically shield and wave dashing over and over and like changing the distance of your wave dashes so that even if like you're moving in on Fox or like you can move in and then move back and like basically you just want to make sure you change your position a lot in general. And what it does is, especially with your shield up, is it makes it very awkward for Fox to kind of rip aerials because there's a possibility that if he does an instant aerial, he'll hit your shield on the early part, and you'll get like a grab, which leads into something really nasty, or like just in general, you'll kind of be like wave dashing, so you're kind of holding down and moving around a lot. And if he goes for a drill, the odds that he might, catch Nana in the drill and you get to grab him or something like that is actually like really high. So just like that basic movement of just constantly moving like back and forth, left and right with wave dash over and over, and like occasionally changing like the distance that you're wave dashing at is kind of like enough for Fox to automatically feel unable, like he doesn't feel comfortable to immediately just like throw out a bunch of aerials. Whereas if you're like a little bit more concerned with like how do I hit Fox, or like how do I like play this position in particular, by like trying to lock onto a range, then I feel like that actually ends up in Fox's favor a lot of times. Um, because like one nice thing is like he can't really get as many like grabs on them because of like the double climber issue, and they're really fast on the ground. It's like he doesn't really get like a lot of like grabs on like Luigi, for instance, either. And so like you're wave dashing around with the shield, it's like he doesn't really have good grab like opportunities. He doesn't really have good like grounded move opportunities. What he really wants is for you to like whiff a dash attack so he can up smash you both or something like that. And if you don't give that to him ever, it gets way harder for Fox. Uh, and that's basically what I'm noticing in like this neutral, especially like at the beginning of the game, is that like you're going for these dash attacks. Um, I I don't necessarily feel like these are like super good, mostly because like you haven't. Okay, so I think doing these dash attacks, like this is the type of dash attack that I think would work really well if you had just taken his first stock and he like came back and you kind of had a read on the movement and you were like, oh, he's probably gonna like run in here to like kind of chase me down. Um, but at even stocks at zero, there's not really like enough to go off of. I think if you have an idea that maybe Fox will like move into this position, you could just wave dash here with like your shield up, and you're going to be able to adapt to most situations. Like the odds of him, like if he does like let's say he does like a fade back drill or something, the odds of him getting his aerial directly on your position just as like because you're moving pretty fast with the wave dash. The odds of him getting his aerial right on you just as you move into that spot are really low, and it gives you the chance to kind of like observe him and pick your spots better. So I think like going for these commitments is really really what Fox wants. Because like okay, so like he kind of gets this because like basically Fox's best case is that he gets this kind of chaotic I'm hitting one of them and I kind of like split them, like this type of thing is pretty much like as good as he's gonna get. But it was like what you want is essentially this feeling that like this is his reward, and he had to like hard read you to get this opening in the first place by like reading your grounded positioning. If he doesn't have to read your grounded positioning and he can react to like the dash attack, it just reduces so much of the chaos that like typically favors the ice climbers.
You're basically saying don't let him whiff punish. Move around more first. Have more of a baseline until you understand kind of what he likes. Because I guess I typically used to play the matchup where I used to feel like Fox is really fast. He's hard to react to, so I have to do these preemptive things like short hop bear, short hop up air, dash grab towards him if he's running in, or dash attack towards him. So it might be good for me to try this other way of moving more and before throwing out the hammers.
Yeah, it's kind of like you just have to sort of cede to Fox this like level of activity. Like Fox is gonna be the one trying to make things happen most of the time, especially like if you haven't established that you're kind of like camping each other or something like that. Like if you're just kind of moving around and like let's say you have an idea that like Fox is in a spot, so that's like the spot you're gonna back him. Why is he moving into that spot? Most likely he's trying to like get to you with something, and essentially your job should be to kind of like throw a wrench in Fox's attempts to hit you, more so than actually trying to hit him.
Okay.
It's like I would say the most intimidating style of ice climbers as Fox is when they're wave dashing around very confidently without doing anything in particular. And I feel like if I ever like try to actually like let an attack rip, that like the odds of that attack cleanly hitting them and not getting some form of like reversal or scramble that they want is like not, the odds are not in my favor is what it feels like. And it's part of why I don't like this matchup very much as Fox is because of that.
Gotcha.
And
now Fox, from what I'm understanding here, I'm going to be moving around a lot. Fox is going to want to make something happen. He's going to throw something out. I find Fox, he can be hard to whiff punish at times with his spot dodge and his shine.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So I'm guessing there's going to have to be a game plan built out of, I'm going to have to start paying attention more to what he does after the whiffs and
it's
things
not
like that.
A little bit, but not usually. What I would say is that like the majority of the characters in this game, like basically everybody, especially though like characters like Sheik and like Falco and stuff like that, they don't actually get like if you're playing against Fox as Sheik, your goal is not to like get Fox to whiff a nair and then punish. He's too quick. He'll just whiff the nair, and then even if you try, like, and you can try to pay attention to his habits out of it. And I would say that's still like useful, but it's not what's gonna really like let you beat the character. Beating Fox is entirely based on traps. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna like wave dash around, and then you notice a range where like the nair from Fox feels kind of like threatening, or like basically you want to find ranges where from the Fox perspective it looks like maybe he could like let an attack rip and actually get you, and then you hard read that attack with like your best punish. So an example would be you wave dash around a bunch, and then he kind of, maybe you wave dash and he dash dances in a way where it feels like he has like some form of pressure on you, you know? And then like if you have a read that he's gonna nair you, then you would just be like, oh, CC grab, and then you'd get like a an opening out of that. So it's very much based on like you move around, you find the moment or a feeling where it seems like Fox's like attack is imminent, and you basically like hard read his approach, because essentially like if Fox doesn't take all of his like oops free down air, oops free back air, oops free nair, you know, like Fox gets all these like little freebies, and if Fox is so disciplined that he never takes his freebies, he kind of goes down on the tier list. Like he's not quite as broken if he tries to play really, really honest and never takes his freebies. But because of that, when you see like a potential freebie for Fox like pop up, the Fox is seeing it too, and they feel like a pressure to like make this freebie really happen, and you can a lot of times hard read that with like a counter.
And by freebie, are you talking about they have like a true punish on reaction when I'm in lag, or like a more neutral feeling where it looks like they have like a soul read on me that they're gonna go for?
Um, it's hmm. Okay, it's more like, okay, like you wave dash into the corner or something, like, okay, and Fox is in center, and you're holding shield. And Fox, and you kind of both recognize, like, oops, I'm in corner holding shield, and Fox is in center, like within short hop aerial range, you know? And so what you could do, as an example, is do like a very short wave dash back and then crouch. So it's like if he tried to drill your exact location. One second, I didn't realize that I had I just have like an alert coming through like my computer, and I just need to like close it really quick.
Uh-oh.
Sorry about that.
Safety first.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so basically you wave dash to this position where like it feels like Fox is gonna get like a free nair, like maybe you're here and he's kind of like here. You could just slightly change your position and then crouch, and it's like if he down airs, it might be slightly off, and you'll get like a grab because maybe you know, the down air just, you know, kind of hits you but doesn't fully hit into the shine, or if he nairs, you get like a grab out of it. Like basically like the literal like the Sheik example is you just get close to Fox and then you input like CC dash grab. And like Fox is going to like a lot of times go for the nair and get CC dash grabbed. It's just based on like essentially you see when Fox is gonna be like dumb and just throw something out, and you like hard read counter it. And that basically comes after a bunch of this like safe movement where essentially like you want to trap Fox, which is what I was saying, and you want your movement to appear to Fox as like potential traps. Like every time you wave dash into a spot that's somewhat close to Fox, they should have to do this calculation in their head of like, wait, is this the spot where they wave dash into the spot where like my up air looks really good so they can hard punish my up air and kill me? And most Foxes in the moment or I would say like just in general, the odds of the fox making a super smart decision and not falling for the trap are overall pretty low. And like basically, you can get better and better at like creating those traps and punishing them, punishing fox for falling into them.
Gotcha.
So like for example, like right here, let's see. Okay, you get back on stage, and there's this clear like range. There's like a position that you are playing at right here, and what that allows Fox to do is like set up this down tilt way ahead of time, where he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna move in," and then he moves back, and you're kind of still in this position. Fox gets to like razor focus on this position, and especially with wave dash characters, there's like a weakness. Whereas if you stay in shield too long, right, like they know that you can like that you have to basically wave dash out of the shield before you can do anything. Whereas if you're constantly like boing 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 and shielding the whole time, but like between the wave dashes, Fox doesn't have the ability to be like, oh, like they haven't wave dashed out of shield yet, because you're always wave dashing out of shield. And so they won't be able to like do this calculation where they feel like, oh, I can kind of like run up to them and then put a hitbox here, and if they wave dash in, they get caught. Because as long as you keep moving, that whole like timing situation, like you're wave dashing too often for them to like really like get a handle on it. So that's all he does. Huh?
Just saying, it's sounding like my baseline needs to include more movement.
Yes, and like specifically just wave dashing out of shield over and over again. Yeah, so like right here, for instance, like if you had just wave dashed in right here and shielded and done like a sliding in shield or whatever, the game is completely changed here. None of this neutral is the same. Maybe you wave dash in and Fox does like a full hop, and then you get like a dash back, dash in grab out of like the full hop aerial or something like that. But essentially you made it impossible for him to pinpoint you with these attacks. I would also say that like in a position like this, I always feel way more afraid of getting sent off stage, like just doing like the down throw F smash or whatever. That is it, the down throw that lets you send like forward smash backwards.
Like up throw Nana F smash.
Up throw Nana F smash. Okay, yeah. But basically, I think that like sending them like onto the stage like this as the Fox, this is like yes. Whereas like sending them off stage here, in my opinion, is just a little bit better. Or just down throwing and going for a tech chase.
Yeah, that down throw down smash was a tech flub.
Okay.
So like right now, when I get a grab, I don't have my punish game super fleshed out, but right now I kind of check everyone to see what they do at a down throw dare, and if they're getting out of it, I start whipping smash attacks earlier, which leads to super early kills. Mm-hmm. They're not DIing right, and then it creates this uncertainty in their minds anytime I get a grab, and then I can start trying to be one step ahead of them from that. Mm-hmm. But I know there's other ice climbers that probably have a more sophisticated way of like getting them to the ledge and doing handoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like basically if you found out a way to like, I mean, I know they have a method here to like reverse handoff, If there's a way to like get Fox to the edge here, you basically can get a kill out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that definitely changes this a lot. Here's like another yeah, I definitely think like the multi-wave dash thing is pretty big, because I feel like it makes these types of positions way better for Fox. The fact that like even the fact that you like dashed back here instead of just like wave dash wave dash wave dash wave dash creates like a lot of like the Fox is chilling. Whereas if you go like wave dash back, wave dash in, they need to think about like the wave dash back momentum with like a full hop back air or something like that.
Hmm.
Essentially, like if you're here, you just don't have a threat to here unless you're wave dashing into it. So doing the wave dash forward and back is more like wave dashing forward and backwards over and over really fast is way closer to like what Fox would get out of his dash dance than like doing this. Um, so you end up right here, and look at the positioning. You do this. So what I'm thinking when ICs are doing this is I'm thinking, okay, they did the back air. Are they going to wave dash right now? And as soon as they whiff this, I would be going in and trying to pressure you because the position has just been like too established. Um,
Hmm.
it's like the equivalent of like Fox standing there and up tilting in place over and over, basically.
Okay.
Like it just creates this very simple like it allows you to calculate the ranges very cleanly from the Fox end because you're just like, oh, well they're in this spot. Whereas like if they don't know exactly where you are, it just becomes a lot more threatening. And it's essentially just like the ground movement mix up is like what looks kind of weak right now.
Yeah, I guess those bears are kind of like my attempt at holding center in a way, trying to hold my ground.
They're yeah, but they're kind of like it's the way to describe it. They're like a scared way to hold center. They're like a keep away from me. I said stay back, you know? And like that's not particularly like intimidating for the opponent. Like that basically allows them to create this like, "Oh, you want me to stay back, do you? Huh? Huh?" Whereas like if you're creating a little bit more of like a threat there, the Fox doesn't feel so confident. Especially, they just don't feel confident doing long dash dances. They're gonna feel way more pressure to full hop around, and as soon as they're like on the platforms, now you have control of the ground, and you know now you won center anyway. You know.
Yeah, so it's kind of like Samus just F tilting in place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's like doing this. It doesn't give you as much, and you got the mix-up on this back air. But the thing that's like that I want to stress is that a better Fox might not have gotten hit with this because the exact position that your wave dash is starting from is so clear. Like you hold shield for a good amount of time and then do this wave dash. If ices are holding shield for enough time that the Fox can like react and be like, aha, that is your position, then the wave dash gets a lot weaker. And what I actually recommend to Ice Climbers players in that position when they hold shield for a while and Fox is dash dancing is to do one like medium short-ish wave dash towards Fox because they'll see the wave dash in and immediately try to punish the full wave dash back given that position, and it kind of gives you a mix-up out of the spot. But it is a little slow since you have to double wave dash, so it's not like ideal. But I would suggest that because it's the concept of like I'm wave dashing from here, and then it's like boing, and then like they can't react perfectly to like whether your wave dash ended here or here or here when you're starting your next wave dash, you know? The amount of time since the wave dash happens compared to the next wave dash is very short, and so it creates a confusion of exactly how far you can move with each individual wave dash.
Gotcha. I don't know if this makes a difference, but I've heard people say this that fighting against Box Fox, you have to fight differently. But I'm not too in tune with all the controller specific stuff. This was a Box Fox.
Yeah, no, I remember because I played them before at Genesis, I think. Um, I don't think like nothing has happened so far where I felt like it was relevant.
Gotcha. But would you say that's true in general?
I would say it is somewhat true, yeah. I think just playing against box in general is pretty different. I'm pretty against allowing boxes at tournaments. Like,
Gotcha.
like I just think it changes the game way too much, basically. And we do have to deal with it, but I think if you form like a really solid game plan, usually it's like enough. Usually the box players are a little bit worse than controller players, so I think it kind of somewhat evens out. Like they'll overperform a little bit or do things that are weird like a little bit, but I
Uh-huh.
think in some ways the plan might even work better because they're a little bit more likely to like believe in their frame one aerials and stuff like that. So like trapping them with like the shield and the movement might even like end up being more effective, you know.
Uh-huh.
But I wouldn't really worry about it too much. Yeah. No, this is just that same thing. I don't want to make the entire lesson just about the wave dash thing, but that does seem
If that's what it needs to be, that's what it needs to be.
yeah, it does seem pretty significant. I think doing something like this is good. Like I think this pattern was overall pretty good. Um like this sort of like right here where you go wave dash back and then you wait and you do this up air because you thought he was gonna like full hop. I like that. Um And then right here, he's like big time coming in, so I definitely vibe with this back air. Like I understand why you do this back air here, and I think it's fine. Personally, I would prefer a down smash, um, just because it's always gonna knock down. I don't need to worry about it. Um, but then right here, you do another back air rather than immediately like wave dashing out and then wave dashing back in,
Uh-huh.
which creates like a very different spot, which allows him to kind of like get this whole nonsense. Basically, if the position makes too much sense, you either have to hard read him or disengage. Like if you look at the position and you're like, oh yeah, that's this position, like Fox wins it. Like the only way you can beat it is being like, oh yeah, that spot where Fox always wins with full hop drill, and you hard punish full hop drill. And especially if you're kind of shielding and holding down a lot, you like trying to hard read the drill there would not necessarily like basically if you like what's the word? Yeah, basically if you're hard reading his best option out of a spot and he does something different and you're holding down and doing a lot of shielding overall, the odds of him getting a hit that he really wants and for instance doing as much like the odds of him like randomly hitting you while you're moving around and doing as much as he gets out of it here is really really low. I would even say like right here, honestly, this is a little specific, but I would say after this your best option is to wave dash and shield, like wave dash and shield right here. um or even just wave dash under and look for like a dash dance or a down smash or something. Like I'd say the aggressive option is a little bit better there. But regardless, like yeah, this
Oh, I
punish.
was
Yes, what's up?
I was thinking out of that after I hit him with the bear, maybe a very short wave dash forward and taking just a brief moment to see what he does. Because I might have been able to see him commit to that drill and just like dash attack the landing
Yeah, that's true.
or just grab it.
No, I agree. You just have to be super aware of that slight positional change every time, and I like those types of situations will just work out way more often.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because if you give him like a commitment to punish, every time I play an ICs that's given me like commitments to punish, it's just so free because he doesn't need to worry about like the extreme levels of chaos happening because he's just like, oh, I know what's happening here, and he gets this perfect little setup. Whereas if like there was no commitment and you just kind of moved here and you were looking for maybe looking for this rather than committing to your move, the odds of you getting like
Mm-hmm.
a punish here are just way higher.
Yeah, I need to replace more of these hammer moves with just movement.
Yeah, movement and like specifically trying to read like Fox's best option or like most obvious option. And it's kind of funny is that it works exactly the same way as Popo, except you don't shield. You just wave dash back and forth without shielding. And as long as you're like moving around enough, it's surprisingly annoying to hit Popo as Fox. I have always sort of ended up just like kind of full hop camping Popo, just because the movement is so annoying to deal with. Like it just feels like he can kind of like retreat to ledge and ledge dash whenever he feels threatened, and otherwise he's just moving around a lot. Um, Whereas like I don't know, basically you're just playing it really like even Stevens, like, oh, we play the situations. Like you move here, and I think this is really good where you do this little walk because you waited for him to like give you a freebie and he didn't. But then like there's just nothing that like should create this spot for you yet. It's kind of I've used this analogy before. It's kind of like, you know, you ever play that, like people call it different things. I don't know what they call it there. Like hot hands or whatever, where you slap the other person's hands from below.
Like the reaction game.
Yeah, like kids would always play it at like school and stuff like that. Like
I think I know.
somebody like hovers their hands over somebody else's, and you try to like get
Yeah.
over their hands and slap it. And like the person who like you're like, okay, go, and then they're like, slap. You're always gonna dodge that. But the person who's like, you're like, okay, go, and they're like, you know, just kind of slap, you know, like that works way better. And like you're already at a disadvantage. Like essentially, if the characters just clash, you're already at a disadvantage. Like Popo versus Box Fox, but specifically Fox. But like Popo versus Fox is like, it's not a good situation. Like if you just run up and throw out an aerial and he runs up and throws out an aerial, he's winning almost every time. And so like what you do have is you have your ground movement, which is a little bit faster than his. And so it's like you basically need to look at all your stats and figure out the stats in which you do better than Fox, and only make the game have to do with those stats. And the only ways you kind of like beat Fox is you slightly outrange him and you're slightly faster than him on the ground. And so like any sort of like these like full hop reads type things and stuff like that, or like trying to really like scramble and fight it out, are not good. Your goal is 30 seconds from now he gets grabbed into a tech chase down smash. And
Okay.
that's just Popo Fox every time. It's just like, yeah, like in like a whole minute from now you're gonna die. But like if you allow the match to kind of keep this like, yeah, pace, like, yeah, I'm trying to hit you and you're trying to hit me and I'm trying to hit you, like it's just like losing. He's just gonna beat you up. Whereas like wave dash back, wave dash in, wave dash back, wave dash in, jab, wave dash back, wave dash back, and you know,
Yeah.
over and over and over and over, the Fox is gonna need to like essentially like you're creating like it's not a real stalemate, but it's like a pseudo stalemate where like you're basically just trying to bait Fox with wave dashes back over and over again, like dash dance and wave dash back. And then if he tries to press you in the corner, you get a ledge dash. And so you create this kind of pseudo stalemate, and it basically just makes it so that Fox needs to like beat you in like quote real neutral, which he doesn't need to do if you don't play like that.
Gotcha.
And the issue, and like when you're playing both of them, it's almost the exact same game plan. You just have more aggressive options, and you have better punishes, and if he tries to hit your shield, it's way more chaotic and in your favor. But the game plan is kind of similar. What? Wait, what? I'm not gonna worry about that. I don't know what happened.
I mess up a lot of little stuff that I'm not worried about.
Oh yeah, I'm not worried about that either. I just literally thought I saw the hammer hit Fox.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh. Okay, even this, I need this to be sped up. Like, what you're kind of doing is you do a lot of wave dash watch, where you do a wave dash and then you'll like walk and you're like, are you gonna give it to me? Which is actually good. It's good to do wave dash into watch, but what it needs to be is wave dash, wave dash, wave dash, wave dash, watch. Because
Okay.
because like there's just too much of this like you do this, you do one wave dash, and it's like this. It's like if you want to play like frame perfect ice climbers, wave dash back, frame perfect, wave dash in, jab is like pretty good here. You know, not very committal. Wave dash in shield, wave dash in crouch. Um, or wave dash back again, wave dash back in, wave dash short, wave dash back, short wave dash forward, wave dash back in, and doing them quickly because there's just clearly like wave dash wait or wave dash watch, and it gives like a pacing that makes you less threatening. Like wave dash wait,
Okay.
wave dash wait, and you just basically need to like spread out the gaps among like quick wave dashes. And I think Army has other weaknesses, but in this in particular, I think he's like the best at. He's so good at just wave dashing back and forth.
I feel like they're all good at that.
uh, Possibly. I'm just saying that from my experience, that he's the one where I'm like, man, he hits like every frame perfect wave dash. It feels like, but I'm sure he's not the only one. Okay, wait, what happened here? Yeah, even in this spot, I feel like your movement is a little too constrained. Like you're allowing Fox on the top platform to push you into the corner, whereas like he doesn't have a way to come down. Like if this happens and you immediately wave dash to center and like shield and then keep moving back and forth, he's threatened. You're not the one who's threatened here. And by kind of playing this like one side type thing, it just gives up a little bit of your freedom. I think this sequence that you did after is really good though, and you got an opening out of it. Okay, nice. This is the only time where I think it's really good to do the little delay, and it's like obviously like the invincibility where you do the wave dash and then you just wait until he's not invincible or whatever, and then you like move. I actually think this double jump down here was really good, so I'm happy about that.
Dealing with Invincible Fox is a whole other minigame that drives me crazy.
Yeah, no, I think Invincible Fox pretty much like annoys everybody. I think what's the best option against this ice climbers? I still think like light shielding and
Yeah.
holding your light shield for as long as possible essentially. And I've definitely seen a lot of situations where like you basically like make one positional read, wave dash, wait in light shield, and then do the what's it called? Sorry, you gotta forgive me. I can't remember all the names of all the stuff. It's the one where like Popo rolls and Nana does the back air, or it might be the opposite way.
I don't know what it's called, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like I think like wave dashing, like waiting for a second, wave dash, light shield, hold it for a second, and then doing that can be like just as Fox's invincibility ends can be pretty good. Uh, I think usually that's the best thing to do against Fox invincibility is to like try to catch him in a moment of overconfidence, like just as his invincibility ends.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a problem. Like we all agree. They're like, oh, this is awful. Unless you play Falco, and then it's fine. Because Falco can go to the side plat and then full hop off the side plat and takes full invincibility time. And yeah, no, this is that same pattern that I was talking about again, where you do wave dash, wait, and then you just kind of whip out an attack. You just have to think of like the amount of calculations that you're giving to Fox, and like the more things that you posture to set up, the scarier it is. It's the difference between you standing here and Fox standing here versus Fox dashing in and dashing back over and over, creating like constant threats, especially if he's changing his ranges up. It adds more calculations of like, oh, is he gonna do this? Is he gonna do that? Oh, how about here? Is he gonna do that? And like when they're doing that, you're adding calculations to their brain. I'm trying to remember like the word for it, but basically you're adding more like overhead to like their calculations, and they're not gonna be like as accurate or as correct, like as accurate input wise or as like correct like solve wise if you give them more problems to solve, because they just have more uncertainty about like which problems to think about.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so like when you do this wave dash back and then you just wait. So I think that the wait is good. This is like what I want you to do as like a trap where like you're next to Fox and you wave dash to right here. And then you do this because you're like, I don't know, are you gonna nair in? And then he does, and you CC down smash tech chase and you kill him. But when you're over here, this is your opportunity to be proactive and keep wave dashing, because basically you do one wave dash, and then like this wave dash is the only thing he has to calculate because you committed out of it. Whereas if like you did a few wave dashes without committing, the odds of this hitting are really low. And there's just nothing worse as the Fox is like you take a risk to finally interact with ice climbers and it just misses. And then you try again and it misses. And you try again and it barely hits them. And you're like, dude, how do I hit this character? Like as Fox, it gets very frustrating and it feels like you can't actually like lock them down or hit them in any like reasonable capacity without creating a bunch of potential to get like reversaled. Whereas if you don't give them enough of the calculations, like every boing is a potential, back air or a grab or like a jab grab. I also think you could do a lot more wave dash jab. I have not seen nearly enough wave dash jab.
So I'm kind of traumatized using wave dash jab a lot. I started off using it a lot, and then it started getting crouch cancel punished, and I figured it's one of those. So ice climbers, they don't really have that many approaches. They have wave dash in and doing stuff. So I figured that's something I need to save as like a sneaky thing, a wave dash jab grab. So I really cut down on my use of them because I felt like they were fraudulent and people would just like crouch cancel shine them or something.
Yeah, so what happens is that this is tied into that other issue, where if the Fox knows that as soon as you wave dash in at them, the jab is coming, they will be able to deal with it. But if you're wave dashing in all the time, shielding and then immediately wave dashing out backwards, the wave dash in that gets the jab out is like 50 times harder to deal with.
Gotcha.
So it's sort of in that idea of like creating more threats and also mixing up your position. Like basically there are just way more options to it other than wave dash across the stage jab grab, which is like I would just do that all the time against ice climbers. I would just stand in the corner and dash dance as Fox, and they wave dash in and try to jab me, and I would full hop over and shine them, and then they're at the ledge and I murder them for it, But if what they do is they wave dash in and they don't do anything, and I'm full hopping and I feel like a dummy, and then I have to double jump away, and they're going boing 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 boing, and I come down, and like the jab is eventually going to be really good.
Yeah, you have to unlock the jab first, though.
Yeah, you have the jab is basically your best neutral tool in terms of like moves that you can use because it's like essentially unwhiff punishable. Like they can only whiff punish it if they get like a CC and they're right next to you. Whereas if like you're kind of like moving around and like I feel like you'll just notice once you do a lot more of like frame, not necessarily perfectly frame perfect, but like wave dash, wave dash, wave dash, wave dash, that like it's that thing I was saying where if you hold shield for a while and then you do wave dash into something, they kind of know that like the second you stop shielding is the beginning of your wave dash like approach to them. Like they kind of can get like a read on like the timing. Whereas if you're constantly wave dashing around, it's a lot harder to know when each wave dash starts and ends. And so you kind of feel like the jab just sort of hits you out of nowhere. The jab or the down smash or whatever.
Yeah, so it's like I'm not doing enough of this wave dashing around, which in their mind, it's like every time I do a wave dash around, it's like a counter goes up. And it's like, let's say I get that counter up to 50. If I throw out the wave dash jab 3 times out of that 50, that's going to be way less predictable than if I'm not doing that wave dash way less. Like I'm only wave dashing in like 5 or 7 times. And out of those times, maybe half the time I'm doing a jab, so it's a lot easier to read.
Absolutely, and especially when it's like a full wave dash in onto your exact position where like it's close enough for the jab to for sure hit, you know, because there's plenty of spots where like Fox is here, and basically like the standard is you wave dash so that like you slide right onto them with the jab. But what if you wave dash and stand right here and you're just waiting? Like, are you gonna whiff it? And then you go back, and then you end up like essentially mixing up the range at which you're doing it. So it's not just the fact that like you do it out of less wave dashes, although I think that's part of it. Like I understand and agree with what you're saying that like if you wave dash more, they expect like less of the jab. And there's also the
Yep.
element of the timing where it's harder for them to know the exact timing of the jab because they've already been hearing like boing 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 boing. It's like when is the jab even coming, you know? And then
Yeah.
also if you mix up the ranges you wave dash to, um, essentially it's the spot where you wave dash. So if they did, for instance, short hop drill out of shield, the drill would barely miss you. That's the range I'm talking about, where you're like a character length
Mm-hmm.
or two in front of them. You can wave dash in like you're gonna do a jab, like a wave dash jab, but wave dash to that range instead, and then, you know, shield grab their drill, or dash back out of it, or wave dash in, wave dash back, and then wave dash in jab. You know?
Yeah.
Where you're like, my last wave dash ended up too far to jab you, but this one is gonna be in the right range, and they don't really know when you're gonna do that. Whereas here, he just waits for the one wave dash that you do, and it's actually like a commitment. So he's just like, oh, like, I'll just like go in and boom. Like he's just literally like attacking the range where your wave dash in would occupy. So like you do this, and now he's here, and he's like, okay, like if they wave dash right here, and it's this big long wave dash to close the gap, and I run in and I attack right here, it'll hit them in the middle of the wave dash. But if instead of doing this, you were going boing, 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 and you're changing your position every time, there's no he can't do this. He would just run in and do this, and you would be right here and like okay, and just grab him or something like that.
Yeah.
And it also gives you more of those opportunities to get like the grab on the running shine and stuff like that, like when they go for these running shines, because you'll get to like see their whiffs more. um that's like another big piece of it, is that like when you're doing the chaotic wave dashing around where they don't have as much ability to pinpoint it, there are going to be more positions where they try to hit you, they miss, but you also can't whiff punish them for it. And like
Mm-hmm.
for instance, you move out of the way of their running shine and neutral just resets. But that gives you a free read, because if you create that position again, they might
Yeah.
feel like, oh, I can just get away with the running shine because it didn't get punished. So it also gives you like conditioning options, you know?
Yeah. It's information in the bucket.
Exactly. Yeah, it's free information that they had to like they risked themselves to give you info. And it's like, oh,
It's
that's
free,
nice.
it's free information in the jigsaw bucket.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's essentially I can see the exact same issue occurring again. This is the time when I would say that like you don't have to keep doing the wave dashing once you've already pushed them into like that, where you push them way into the corner. Um
Uh,
and it's also on a small stage. Like I basically think you waiting here to get this up air was good, because this is essentially, if you, let's say, even if you were doing all the movement perfectly, this is the type of moment where you would be like, you're moving, you're moving, you're moving, you're moving. I wouldn't like, I don't really like that up air, you know. I would just prefer you move. There's I definitely think without the shield wave dash, there's like a feeling that Fox just like stuffs you on the ground at every moment because he can kind of just attack all the time. And I think it
Yeah.
changes the dynamic so much when you feel like you can just be everywhere because rather than your goal to not be hit, your goal is that he doesn't get a clean hit, you know? And that just changes like the feeling of the ground movement. But let's say you were moving around really correctly and you push them into this type of position right here. I think that this is the type of situation where I would think of like the trap, you know? And you thought of the
Uh-huh.
trap. You thought of the trap here too of like, ooh, this is definitely the fox where the fox's best option is this full hop out of the corner, and you just insta punish it and you get like a punish out of it. So that was like good instincts. Um, this is just fails because of the slope. Got to be aware of that. Like he just gets out because of the slope right here.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just the slope is just funny because look, it's like he would have been right here, but then he gets a couple extra frames. And yeah, it does. Yes, look at this. Like these these like fairs and stuff, this is exactly what Fox wants because it locks your position down. So you're basically not using the
Yeah.
strengths of your you're not using the strengths of your character, which is moving around quickly, you know. And
It barely missed, but I
yeah,
understand.
it's just there's the reason why it barely missed. And it's because you made it calculable on how to space around it. So like the fox knows how to space around this because he sees your position. He's like, oh, he wants to fare right here, and so then he moves and he jumps right before he gets to that position.
Well, is it worth anything that I've never done those fairs yet to this point?
That you've never done those fares yet. Like, what do you mean?
Like he sees the
Oh, you're
first
saying like the
fair,
fact that it's like surprising or
the fact
whatever.
that like I presented one fair and he can't know that I'm about to like do a second fair right after. But maybe he's thinking I've done bears back to back. Maybe he thinks I'm able to do fairs back to back. But
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like okay, if you go to a restaurant on a Friday and you're like, I've never been to this restaurant before, and you show up on a Friday, and the next Friday, you're like, you know, it'd be the trickiest thing ever if I went to the restaurant again. And it's like, it's not tricky. It's not the trickiest thing ever to repeat a thing. They might guess wrong, but they will like subconsciously be like thinking about it already. Like you've already created the suggestion, and so like you've suggested that you might want to fare there with the first one. So doing the second one is like it's like you're trying to be double tricky, but it's not double tricky because you already showed the option. It's just kind of like a classic. It's when the Fox main thinks they would never expect me to keep running across the stage to up smash. Like they dash forward, and then you're like, and every Fox man in the world has had this feeling 1,000 times where you're like, now, what if I just ran the whole way across an up smash? Like, that would be, like, way too tricky. And it's like, no, you showed that you were running across the stage. They will already be prepared for the possibility of the up smash.
yeah,
And so, like, during the first fair is, like, kind of okay. Like, you have to do them sometimes. And especially if you're mixing up your movement, it's good. The second fair is definitely not good. And that's sort of like a rule I tell people in general is to not like try not to do more than two moves in the same like more than one, like try not to repeat the same position more than once. So if you're like
yeah.
in place and you do something in that spot, it's almost always better to move and then do another thing because there's just way more positions you could move to. Moving to any other spot is almost always trickier than staying in the same spot.
Okay, because at least staying in the same spot, they know where you are.
Yeah, it's just that you already like suggested it. It's just that you were already like, that's a thing I do, by the way. I fare here. And so, like, faring somewhere else or doing anything anywhere else will always be trickier than, like, doing any of the stuff you've, like, suggested.
Yeah, well, I guess it doesn't even matter that I did a second fair. I could have done fair into up smash or F smash or fair into anything, and that second option in that same spot would be bad by that same logic.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I think this is a wonderful stage to practice it on, to practice the wave dashing on, uh, because like essentially you kind of like you want a big dog fox here. This is like your stage to big dog him on, and you don't necessarily like want to like you don't want to be like wave dashing like to here and then all the way back to here to like control the stage. Essentially, the stage is small enough that Fox will, if you are doing wave dash in, wave dash back in any capacity, Fox will feel intimidated and he'll want to move to the side plat. And as soon as he goes to the side plat, you just wave dash from here to here over and over, like this. Just do this. And it's creating the feeling that you could approach him at any time, but any approaches he does off the platform to center will immediately be punished. And it creates a situation where he feels very like disadvantaged, or at least he feels very trapped in this position. And it gives you full control of the ground. And I notice this every time I play this stage is Ices just get control of the ground here because they're so fast. And if you don't like kind of like move, like I'm the big dog here, and like Fox will just be like, aha, I'm running around, I'm throwing stuff out, you know, like he will try, but it's just not real here. And I think that it's like, and it's not real on any of the stages, but this is the stage where I feel like it takes the most like mental fortitude from the ice climbers to kind of just like very aggressively wave dash around. But it's also the stage where once they do kind of take advantage of that, Fox feels the most intimidated. And I think it's like why ice climbers typically kind of do well on this stage when they play it right is because of how intimidating they are when they move. But this is what you don't want to be doing is like scrambling with yeah, I'm gonna fight with him. I'm gonna fight. You want to just move around so that when he does these aerials or like these moves, like he does this back air, you're ready to punish it. Like you've trapped him, you've CC'd, you've dashed back to grab this or something like that. If you're already throwing out moves and he runs into them, you don't get like the big opening that you want. And you end up in this really awkward spot where like if you commit, Fox will move around your commitment and like eat you. You're like, I'm gonna commit with this, and it's like as soon as an Ices does this, I'm like, oh. A rule of thumb that I have is that you're only allowed to do this full hop up air when Fox is full hopping from the side plat to the top plat. That's the only time I will ever do this up air. Otherwise, he can just land too easily. But when he full hops from the side plat, he's like pretty far above the top plat, and you get the opportunity to do this without the risk of him actually getting down before you. But if he's not high enough up and he gets down before you here, you're just like, oh, I'm super stuck. Okay, like take this. This is actually a really good example, and we're pretty much at an hour, but this is a really good example. And you only did it with Popo here. But like, take this position from the Fox perspective. When you're gonna do a couple wave dashes, I'm gonna slow it down. Right here, you like wave dash back, and then rather than feel pressured now here, you just wave dash through, and then like Fox isn't able to keep up with the scramble. He just full hops away out of like fear.
Yeah.
And that'll happen a lot if you really. But then look at it. And he's just like, oh, that's the position that he's like attacking from. And so he just like finds an angle and attacks that position. Watch. He full hops out of the way, and then he sees that you're here attacking, and he's just like going for this, you know?
Yeah.
And so like when they lock onto your position, it's either like every time they see the lock on, they should know that, like, oh, you also see the lock on, and you're probably going to be, like, holding down or preparing for the drill or whatever like that. And then if they don't activate, like if they don't immediately jump on you, like if they don't immediately jump on the situation of you like kind of being in one spot, then before they know it, you're just back to flying around the stage jabbing and stuff like that, which is not comfortable for them. So it kind of puts them in this like very frustrating situation where they can stalemate, but it allows you to return to perfect neutral. But if they don't stalemate and they try to press it, that might be too predictable, and you'll have some sort of read ready for them, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're about at an hour now. Do you have any final thoughts or questions, or just sort of thoughts on the lesson overall?
No, that actually answered and gave me light on some things I've been trying to figure out, but I haven't been able to sort of verbalize or put flesh onto for a while. I always felt like it was harder for me to hit people, and I always felt like I was getting run over. And I would always watch other ice climbers, and it seemed like they were able to take these risks, and they would pan out, and they would move around more, and they weren't as holding of center as I tend to be and weighty, which I definitely think is still really good, but I just need to learn how to make the wave dashing around more of my base.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying is like the waiting after wave dash is good. It's just after more wave dashes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I think basically like we went over some like really important things, and I think basically if you like implement all this, it'll come together a lot more, because I think it'll open up your ability to like really create positions more, because the positions you'll be creating are like, oh, I moved into this spot and created like a perfect spot where I can bait fox drill, rather than like, oh, I moved into this spot and now I'm waiting and he didn't give me anything, so I'm just gonna like try to hit him, you know?
Yeah, it does always feel like I'm not creating positions and I'm kind of on the back foot, kind of hoping Fox runs into one, either like my ice or my hammers preemptively. So it'll be nice feeling more control when I learn how to create favorable situations that I can just react to and confidently punish.
All right. Yeah,
All right.
sounds good, man. It was a good lesson. It was fun talking to you, and I can send you. I don't think you paid me yet, right? I can send you the payment info.
Yeah, you need to send that to me still.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sounds good, man. I hope you have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah, and let me know any updates on stuff on this. If you feel confused or if you get a good clip of it and you're hype on it, I want to see all that stuff.
Yep, I'll bring it to you.
All right,
Thank
great.
you.
Peace.
Have a good one.
You too.